in the Bahamas, where they have seen some intense weather these past few weeks and especially this past weekend, all ahead of, as Joey mentioned, hurricane season. And today, our One Caribbean News' DeAndre Hamilton reports on what's expected for this year's transatlantic hurricane season.
Bahamas has been experiencing a series of severe weather conditions throughout May. Videos of a tornadic waterspout whirling its way onto shore, fish darting around in flooded backyard, and images of submerged cars and impassable roads circulated on social media and were evidence of the extreme weather that greeted Nassau last weekend. The Bahamas Department of Meteorology predicted severe weather for 2 weekends. The storms are unseasonably early as the official start to the transatlantic hurricane season is less than 2 weeks away, but these weather conditions are becoming more common. Meanwhile, the National Hurricane Center reported that tropical cyclones are not expected for the Caribbean Sea, North Atlantic, or Gulf of Mexico during the next few days. This is the first tropical weather outlook given by the National Hurricane Center, or NHC. The NHC has also recently shared that forecasters are deliberating a change in the dates for the hurricane season, giving reference to the recent pattern of storm formations in May, including a tropical wave which was situated off the Bahamas. As it is, hurricane season officially starts on June 1st, but in recent years, cyclones have formed earlier. In March, AccuWeather predicted that the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season would be above average. The 60-year-old media company has forecast there will be 16 to 20 named storms, 6 to 8 hurricanes, 3 to 5 of them major.
Of those tropical storms, 6 to 8 could become hurricanes, 3 to 5 could be major. Forecasting sees the United States in line to receive 4 to 6 direct impacts.
These numbers, especially tropical storm numbers, are above normal. The numbers of hurricanes and major hurricanes are pretty close to near normal.
It's also important that hurricane preparations begin now. DeAndre Hamilton reporting.
All right, thanks for that report, DeAndre. Well, meantime, in Puerto Rico, feeding the pigeons in Old San Juan has been a long-standing tradition for locals and tourists alike. Pigeon Park has been closed for 2 years now and is finally open again to the public. The announcement came from Mayor Miguel Romero, who explained that the space known for the tradition of pigeon feeding will open again starting at 9 a.m. Tuesday through Sundays for locals and tourists to enjoy. The mayor added that Cafe Del Nino will also begin operations in the park, in addition to other kiosks offering activities like storytelling, yoga, painting, musicals, and more. Now, this park is the only place in Old San Juan where people are allowed to feed pigeons. Officials say crushed corn will be for sale at the park to safely feed the birds with. Meantime, visitors to Barbados who are fully vaccinated will soon not be required to have a COVID-19 test for entry to the island, and the wearing of masks outdoors will also now be optional. Prime Minister Mia Mottley made that announcement at a press briefing this past weekend. She said the decision to change current entry protocols was made after meeting with officials of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We've always said that we will have a gas and brake approach, and given the declines that we're seeing, we feel comfortable to make a few changes again. I've therefore been advised by the Ministry of Health that all persons who are vaccinated, who are coming into Barbados, will no longer need to come in with any kind of test results. So we're removing testing for vaccinated passengers coming into Barbados. Unvaccinated passengers will still have to test, and the Ministry of Health later this week will explain the further protocols for unvaccinated persons.
Now, the Prime Minister explained that people in Barbados will again no longer be forced to wear masks outdoors.
Outdoors, other than schools, optional. Public transport and indoors, it remains as it is now required, but if you're eating, if you're drinking, if you're talking, obviously you know you remove your mask indoors to be able to facilitate those things. We want, as you heard, for people still to be vigilant. Take your boosters. And those of you who haven't vaccinated, vaccinate.
Now, both entry protocols and mask mandate changes will go into effect Wednesday, May 25th. Prime Minister Mottley noted that Barbados is not the only Caribbean country to make these kinds of changes and stressed that they have come only after careful consideration. Well, meantime, Pfizer says 3 child-sized doses of the COVID vaccine showed a strong immune response in kids ages 6 months to 5 years old. The trial included nearly 1,700 kids who got a third dose during the Omicron variant surge. Pfizer says antibody levels tested a month after the third dose showed the vaccine produced a similar immune response as 2 full doses in 16 to 25-year-olds. It said 3 child-sized doses for this youngest age group were well tolerated and no new safety signals were identified. The preliminary data has not yet been published or peer-reviewed. Kids under the age of 5 are the only age group not eligible for COVID vaccination. An FDA committee has tentative meetings set for June to discuss emergency use authorizations and updates that could make young kids eligible for Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Meantime, a new study says people in the U.S. have moved on from feeling anxious about the pandemic. Sunday, the American Psychiatric Association reported that adults' anxiety about COVID-19 is at its lowest record ever, with 50% indicating that they're anxious about it. Now, that's down from 65% in 2021 and 75% in 2020. Instead, now 73% of adults say they are somewhat or extremely anxious about current global events happening around the world. 64% said they were nervous about keeping themselves or their families safe. The study was conducted between April 23rd and the 24th from a sample of about 2,200 adults.